It's World Book and Copyright Day, and we encourage everyone, particularly our young, to discover the magic that comes from reading. Join your local library and immerse yourself in a new world. Visit gis.gov.jm for a library nearest you. We also use the day to remind persons to respect the copyright of authors. Hello and welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Please stay with us.
Mommy?
Yes, Zoe?
Can we read this book? It will only take 10 minutes.
Sure, sit down. Every spring, Madame Angel Wing arranges.
Do you have 10 minutes? Read with your child today. Reading with your children for just 10 minutes each day helps develop their language and listening skills, stimulates their imagination, and expands their understanding of the world. So, start reading with your child today.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, April 23. Jamaica's public debt is firmly on a downward trajectory, and macroeconomic stability is anchored by the country's strong implementation of the standby arrangement with the IMF. That's the latest assessment of the International Monetary Fund, which has given high marks for Jamaica's performance under the program. The country met all quantitative performance criteria and structural benchmarks for the period ending December 2017. In its recently released Executive Board review, the IMF pointed to strong economic markers, including the public debt being projected to be under 100% of GDP by the end of March 2019. Other high marks for the country include unemployment being at a 10-year low, modest inflation and current account levels, international reserves at a comfortable level, and external borrowing costs at historical lows. These are all positives, but the IMF's Executive Board review has also pointed to the need for accelerated economic growth. The fund recommends formalizing the current inflation targeting regime, as well as reducing the wage bill and reprioritizing spending towards growth-enhancing projects. To support growth, the IMF is also recommending that more is spent on infrastructure, citizen security, agricultural resilience, health, education, and the social safety net. One of Latin America's largest airlines, Copa, will be providing daily service between Panama City and Montego Bay starting July of this year. This will bring to 11 the overall number of flights weekly between both countries. Tourism Minister Dr. Edmund Bartlett made the announcement late last week during two separate receptions with travel media, tour operators, airline executives, and travel agents in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and Santiago, Chile. The receptions were hosted by the Jamaica Tourist Board, JTB, as part of a series of market engagements across several South American nations. Minister Bartlett says that Copa's move to provide daily service to Montego Bay is a game changer, which will lift arrival numbers from several other Latin American countries. As it regards Argentina and Chile, the minister says this will also support his target of doubling tourist arrivals from those countries to Jamaica from a combined total of 10,000 annually to 20,000 by the year 2021. Minister Bartlett's tour across South America will take him and his team into Argentina, Chile, Peru, and Colombia. The minister is expected to return to the island on April 26. Government has opened two additional justice centers, one each in Westmoreland and Trelawney. Both centers were opened on Friday. They add to two previously established in Portland and St. Anne and are among 14 to be set up island-wide.
This is our strategic investment to bring justice to the community so that persons can have assistance in solving their matters.
The Justice Ministry's permanent secretary says the idea is to bring justice services under one roof, particularly those that are not involved with trials.
These services include restorative justice, child diversion, mediation, and we plan to add legal aid services by a mobile unit or in the centers.
This is all part of a broader plan to have Jamaica become the world's first restorative justice country. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says two prospective locations have been identified for a center in Lucy, Hanover.
And these justice centers are not only very important for the people of Jamaica to get information as to how they can access justice, but also for them to become familiar with their rights, freedoms, and responsibilities.
Within the next month, 2 more centres will be opened in Manchester and St. Mary, with Clarendon, St. Elizabeth and St. Andrew expected to follow. The National Security Ministry is looking to import more trained dogs to improve the operational capacity of the Jamaica Constabulary Force's Canine Division.
Obviously, we need it because the techniques being used by various of the purveyors of both arms and drugs are getting more sophisticated, and in order to be effective, we need the dogs. Other things are required as well. They are high-tech that we have to use at ports of entry and so forth, but the dogs are a critical part of what we do, and they've been very, very successful, especially in narcotics. Now we look at expanding the team for firearms.
The National Security Minister gave the commitment on a recent tour of the Canine Division's kennel. He was there to get an update on their operations and view the 20 pre-trained dogs recently imported for the division. He says the goal is to ensure the division has a squad of 80 trained dogs organized between narcotics and firearm detection. And finally, the Minister with responsibility for land, Darrell Vaz, is assuring the public that government's master plan for the divestment of agricultural lands at Bernard Lodge in St. Catherine is designed to support economic growth and job creation. His statement is in response to concerns about the manner in which these lands are being divested. The Bernard Lodge lands, which cover 4,677 acres, is less than 10% of the over 50,000 acres of agricultural lands in the St. Catherine-Clarendon Plains area. Minister Vaz says much of this land remains idle and is used for illegal dumping, illegal mining, and informal settlements. He says divestment for development started in 2015, and a cabinet decision was taken to ensure this continues under the mandate of a proper master plan that includes upgraded and new infrastructure such as roads, water, and sewage. The master plan went to cabinet in March 2018 and was approved. It calls for the development of additional housing solutions in and around the Portmore area and providing jobs for the residents in close proximity to where they live. The master plan also includes agro-processing, light industrial and commercial activity, as well as a new town centre. Minister Vaz says his cabinet colleague, Agriculture Minister Audley Shaw, will also be actively pursuing putting the vast acreages of idle agricultural lands into production. Adding that the divestment will allow the Sugar Company of Jamaica to pay off its huge legacy debts and invest in its core business of agriculture, the minister assures that the selling of all lands will follow the proper procurement guideline. He adds that Prime Minister Andrew Holness will be hosting a stakeholders meeting this month with the Political Directorate, the Portmore and St. Catherine municipalities, and non-governmental organizations. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Si Marcia Osbande, ima one of the biggest joggies.
Wait, somebody a scream.
Lad, them a bundle up rice to work and never pay the extortion money.
Who them man there? How would them a do Jackie liquidator?
It's serious times. Speak up for justice and keep your eyes open. When you hear about any crime, report it. Silence brings violence.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
All last week, Prime Minister Andrew Holness was on assignment in England for the 2018 Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. Watch the highlights in Jamaica House Weekly.
All last week, Prime Minister Andrew Holness was on assignment in Europe. On Sunday, Mr. Holness was in Belgium, where he held talks with Secretary General of the African, Caribbean and Pacific Group of States, Dr. Patrick Gomes. The two spoke about Jamaica's chairmanship of the ACP Council. The Prime Minister also addressed the ACP Committee of Ambassadors meeting and urged them to continue efforts to transform the group into an effective global player.
Jamaica has taken seriously its responsibility to each state in the context of its presidency of the ACP Council of Ministers. Along with the CARIFORUM group of states that we represent, we commit to promote a process of collaboration that will ensure that no state is left behind.
Mr. Holness also met with Jamaican diaspora and business interests from Belgium and France. While in Belgium last Monday, he met with the head of the European Council, Donald Tusk. By Tuesday, Mr. Holness was in England, meeting with his British counterpart, Theresa May. The two spoke of several mutually beneficial issues, including migration, trade, climate change, and trained, skilled personnel. And at a private meeting with Caribbean leaders and Prime Minister May, Mr. Holness called for the release of pre-1973 Commonwealth Caribbean migrants who are detained as illegal immigrants. He said the British government should also review and provide the necessary assistance to have their rights restored. The migrants, known as the Windrush generation, were granted indefinite stay as they helped rebuild Britain post-World War II. But changes in UK immigration law have forced them to prove their legal status, a process which has been difficult as many do not have documentation. Prime Minister May has since apologized and promised that the UK would do whatever it takes, including where appropriate, paying compensation to resolve the anxieties and problems that some of the Windrush generation have suffered. Those talks were held ahead of the 2018 Commonwealth Heads of Government CHOG meeting. At a joint forum Tuesday, Mr. Holness urged leaders to view funding for climate change as an investment rather than a matter of aid.
It is imperative that the conversation around climate change and how it is to be financed be treated as an investment. That we make the investment in the resilience of these countries who are affected so that they can withstand, live through, and recover quickly from these variable and extreme weather events.
He also called on the grouping to support a new system of classification and provision of development assistance for countries. According to Mr. Holness, the developing country label has locked out small island states from accessing funds to recover from natural disasters such as hurricanes, which could wipe out their GDPs. Tuesday afternoon saw Prime Minister Holness holding bilateral talks with the Prime Minister of Mauritius. The two spoke of increasing cooperation, trade, tourism, economic growth, and public sector transformation. During talks with Prince Charles of Wales, discussions centered on youth, community development, infrastructure, environment, and the blue economy. On Wednesday, Mr. Holness met with the business community and attended a welcome reception and dinner hosted by British Prime Minister Theresa May. The following day, he was accompanied by his wife, Juliet Holness, to a state dinner at Buckingham Palace.
Our dream is that wherever we go, wherever we choose to live, that people respect us, that we contribute to the advancement of the whole human race, that we can share in true prosperity, that we can make Jamaica the place of choice for you to choose to live, to work, to do business, raise your families, and if you choose, retire in paradise.
Prime Minister Holness addressing a town hall meeting involving the Jamaican diaspora in London Friday. He disclosed issues discussed at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, in particular the Windrush generation. The Prime Minister updated the meeting on actions government is taking to tackle crime, corruption, improving the business environment, justice, and human rights. He also spoke to greater participation from the diaspora in areas such as education, health, and trade. Back in Jamaica, the Prime Minister lent his support to the 2018 Expo Jamaica. The Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Associations staged the weekend-long expo, which saw thousands of local businesses showcasing their products and services.
I'm very pleased to hear of the merger of the Jamaica Manufacturers Association and the Jamaica Exporters Association. I think it augurs well for industry in Jamaica. I particularly like the emphasis on emerging businesses. The growth in the economy, the job creation in the economy, the success of the economy will really depend on emerging businesses.
Mr. Holness also expressed the hope that Expo Jamaica would get bigger and better as the years go by. And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Be an active participant in your child's life. Spend time with your child. No phones, no television, no distractions. Just the two of you.
Just the two of us.
Get to know your child through play. Why not go to the park and get on the monkey bars? Sharing a meal can also be a time of bonding. If your child's in school, be involved in school activities. Speak with your child's teacher. Follow up on their progress in school and see how you can help. Assist them with homework. Attend parent-teacher meetings and support school fundraising events. Remember, your child's future is in your hands. Safeguard it.
So glad you are a child of mine.
This Child Month, we are being charged with recognizing and validating our children's worth. The Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica is doing just that. Take a look.
My name is Shanrai Dennis, and I am the 2017 recipient of the PCG Renewable Energy Scholarship to pursue a Masters of Science in Renewable Energy Engineering at the University of Technology, Jamaica.
The procedure for selecting a recipient of the PCG scholarship was done through first a advertisement inviting potential students, whether recent graduates or persons who were interested in the master's program in the School of Engineering, to apply. We chose Shanwar because he's someone who thinks deeper than the surface, and that is what a researcher needs to be, not somebody who takes things at face value but is willing to probe a little deeper. Interestingly, what impressed us in the interview was not so much his technical knowledge, which his academic performance already testified to, but he actually discussed some social issues at the time. Our conversation led us there, and we were appreciative of the perspectives that he shared.
With great powers come great responsibilities, so being given this scholarship, it's not just a scholarship for me to be selfish with, to get a master's and then migrate or whatever. It's for me to know that I'm being given an opportunity to make myself a better person and in the long run make Jamaica a better place. So I don't see this scholarship as a scholarship for me, but a scholarship for Jamaica. My goal or my dream is to see the social gap in Jamaica being reduced, to see everyone living more equal life, to see everyone being able to afford what they want, and in a sense to help Jamaica develop from third world status. In this field, renewable energy engineering, you need an expert in the field of renewable energy. It's a growing field, it's a relatively new field. After completing my master's, I'll be able to add further research first of all, that other persons can work, and I'll also be able to do applied research and actually have end products resulting from these research. Many people will look at me and probably pass judgment. They see a dark Rasta boy over there, so they say it doesn't have anything positive to offer to society, but that's not necessarily the case. Like, what I can tell you about me is that Shanrai Dennis is a humble, reserved, outgoing person, enjoys watching and playing sports, having discussions on various topics from politics and history to physics, technology. So I consider myself a versatile person. I love sports. I was involved in sports from primary school. I remember when I had GSAT, my father wanted me to focus on my studies.
While I was going to primary, I was checking his book. I always do. And I realized that on Wednesdays, there were no work done in his book. So he came home and I said, I said, well, I'm not in school on Wednesday day. I said, yes, Daddy. I said, I'm not seeing work in your book on Wednesdays. I said, because him go play football for his school. So I said, it's not right.
I loved football, so well, he would be thinking I'm at class, I'm out playing football. And he didn't know until until a match that I played in featured on TV in which I scored 2 goals. so when I went home, he was like, so since when you play football or whatever, I think we had this talk. It's very important to know that you're living your life to the best that you can and you're not wasting it. So that's one of the driving factors behind me being so involved, because if I find something interesting, I'm going to do it. So when you have a packed plate and then you see something else you want to do, there's really only one thing you can cut back on, and that's sleep. And that's sleep. So if you have to reduce the hours you spend sleeping to do something you enjoy, I think it's worth it.
I've taught Shanoy from his first year at UTech and taught him about 3 or 4 modules. When I observed him, he wasn't always working though, but he was never stupid with his free time. He rested and he did recreation in a healthy way, in a productive way, and he was a rounded person. So that's important. Just be rounded and be productive with all your time, not just academically.
So you see, I'm just here doing what I need to do, and I'm more focused on what I need to get done than the fact that I am actually a scholar.
If you're watching the JIS, you're always in the know when it comes to government information and news. Keep watching, keep informed, and tell your friends. JIS, your #1 source for government info.
April is Farmers' Month, and government is taking keen interest in assisting the nation's food producers to increase their productivity. Watch this next feature to see one way in which the state is doing so.
The Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries is looking to employ the use of drone technology in the agriculture sector to provide useful data to drive production and productivity. Collaborating with local company DNC Drones, Minister without Portfolio J.C. Hutchinson held a demonstration with farmers in Low River, Trelawney in August. It showed the farmers that the drones will be able to assess damage to their sector from natural disasters such as a flood and help them identify measures to boost crop yield.
What we are looking for the drone to do is that once we have crop damage after a hurricane or flood, we usually find that when the estimates come in, we find that the estimates are not usually correct, because many of the extension officers can't reach the areas where the damage is. With the drone, we are able to go over and identify all the crops, all the animals that have been lost, and bring back the picture within a day.
Director of DNC Drones, Nigel Davies, said this type of drone technology is called precision agriculture,
which basically is collecting data in real time, analyzing that data, and then interpreting the data to advise the farmer as to the status of his crop, which is basically his nutrient contents in his crop, the moisture content in his field, and how much he has. Because this technology can also count the number of hills of yam, potato plants, tomato plants in the field. We can assess let's say the number of animals that died. We can measure that. We can tell you that, wait a minute, that these guys had 20 acres of yam here, and we knew that 6 months ago it was 50 hills of yams. We now can say he lost 50 hills of yams. So the drone technology is used widely in disaster management.
Other benefits of the drones include giving a clear picture of crops under production and identifying areas with irrigation needs and crops that are lacking in nutrients.
We have what we call a multispectral camera, which is this little camera on this particular drone, and it takes pictures of the plants. As you well know, plant leaves basically absorb sunlight and reflect sunlight. So this is a special camera that rejects infrared or near infrared, and then it can use that data using an algorithm to tell us how much nitrogen, how much potassium, how much phosphorus, or the lot thereof in a plant. We also can tell you the moisture content in the field.
Now, if that can be done, we will be able to tell the farmer what needs to be done with his different crops. And with that, we are looking at seeing how we can not only increase production, but we can increase productivity. So with the technology, we are looking to see if we can bolster agriculture.
The drone demonstration in Trelawney is the first of an island-wide campaign by the Agriculture Ministry to sensitize farmers about the benefits of the technology.
We feel that it can be able to counteract predial larceny in a certain way, and we are going to see how we can get it going so that we are able to counteract predial larceny for the farmers.
We can identify cows or any animals, as the case may be, that may be hidden anywhere. Let's say, for example, Master Storm. You know Master Storm only have 5 goats in his field, but all of a sudden, in the backyard, he might have another 10. We can survey that area and identify the number of cows or goats, as the case may be, using our thermal imaging camera. We can't solve the problem, but we can aid in recovery of animals or monitor a man's farm. Minister, we're going to work with you and try to streamline the technology to ensure that we can attain that goal.
I think the drone is going to make a big difference as far as us moving forward in agriculture. I want to see a revolutionization of agriculture in this country.
Our time is up on this station, but we are available around the clock in cyberspace. Visit jis.gov.jm. Email Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm and check out our pages on the various social media sites. We also have a mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire team at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.